What's up, guys? Today what I'm going to do is a demo video for everybody out there who are curious as to how I do headlights. I do a lot of social media posts, I do a lot of door-to-door walking and talking. I've done several customers, and today I'm going to share with you my process, how I do things. Maybe you can try them out yourself. Maybe it'll encourage you to give me a call and help you out. Whatever the case may be, we're going to take you through it today. So we start off by looking for a prospect, a guinea pig. I'm here at our local junkyard, LKQ, and I'm looking for the worst of the worst. Looking for a headlight that we can throw on the chopping block, sort of like a volunteer in the Centurion Man project. Something really scratched up, and it seems that I found a winner. This guy here has extreme surface oxidation. I mean, that stuff won't even rub off, scratch off, or wash off. I would like to get something that's really ugly so that I can show people that doesn't matter what they come in, looking like they can be restored. And we're going to introduce him to a couple of our friends. I have some rubbing compound here. It's a heavy cut by Menzerna. We also have a finishing compound. Some sealants I've used. This is Jet Seal Matte by Chemical Guys. Some wax that I've used before. Surface protection, Aero Fusion, one of my very favorite finishing waxes. This is a lacquer finishing compound by G-Tech. Provides a really thin layer of protection over the surface. This is 3000 and 1000 grit micro mesh pads and sanding finishing pads by 3M. We have Merca versions of that in a 320 grit to go on the DA, and a micro mesh. This is about 8000 grit micro mesh. All of this stuff can be found on Amazon or aeroproducts.com. This is my workhorse of a polisher, my rotary. It's a Blue Point rotary, variable speed. A DA, of course. The brand doesn't matter. It's a 3-inch finishing face on it. Wool pad, and last but not least, our volunteer for the process, Mr. Cadillac CTS headlight. As you can see, this stuff is baked on. I mean, I don't know if the previous owner tried to restore it, finish it with something, spray it with something, but this stuff, as you can see as I scratch it, it is on there. You can't wash that off. There will be no wipe new or toothpaste or bug spray with DEET. We're going to get into it. So without further ado, I'm going to speed up the process here so that you guys aren't watching a 3-day video, and we get into it with the 320 grit on the DA. I like to start with a heavy grit, especially on surfaces of headlights that have heavy oxidation and heavy buildup on them. This one is pretty bad. As you can see before, it was so heavily oxidized and contaminated on the surface that you couldn't even scratch off with your nails any of the fallout on the headlights. So the 320 will pull that stuff right off. I'll do a close-up here in a couple of seconds so that you can see how the DA makes easy work of this. I've done this stuff by hand in the past. It comes out okay, but when you pick up, a little experience points and you do a few more out on the road, you start to make hard work easier by just, getting it done with machines. The pros use machines. The pros know how to do the pro techniques with pro tools, and this is a very good way to get this stuff off of here. As you can see, I'm going to try to show I kind of missed a spot. If you were to finish this headlight and this little area right in here, right about there, there's still a little bit of that upper surface fallout on there, but that 320 really peels that stuff off. You can see there's no more of that look like glue or top coat, clear coat finish or whatever. See that stuff there? That other stuff is gone on the north side of the tape line, and that is what we are looking for. That 320 is probably about the most aggressive grit I would use so that you don't scar the plastic to a non-restorable surface. Moving right along here, we can get into the 1000 grit. I say again, 1000 grit. Some people would do 15. I prefer 1000. 3M has a really good combination going with their Trizac system. That's what it is. They have a Trizac system where you use their polish, their pads. It comes in a 1, 2, 3, bing, bing, bing process. Can't go wrong. You can find 3M anywhere in the world. Some people use all kind of products, polishes, sanding pads. 3M, you can be in Timbuktu. Make a left at Albuquerque. They sell 3M. So that's why I kind of stick with that stuff. This 1000 grit takes that 320 grit surface down, and as you can see, we're just resurfacing this plastic. There's no magic to it. There's no, hocus pocus, wipe it and it's perfect. What we're doing is taking off a upper layer of plastic, ripping it all off. No matter what's on it, it comes off. Take it down to a new surface, and then we're going to restore it and polish it. You can do this by hand again, but I prefer the machines. This 1000 takes it down and makes it nice and smooth. It removes the 320 scratches out, and as you can see, some of the optical clarity is starting to be restored already. Those scratches before are finer scratches, not really the heavier scratches. It should feel really smooth to the touch. You're going to have plastic residue and the oxidation residue on the surface that can be wiped off with a towel, maybe a little spray and wipe if you want to get it completely off before going to the next step. And this is a 3000 grit, part of the Trizac system by 3M. 3000 grit pad. Some people do a wet sanding process here. I prefer to do it all dry. Wet sanding has its place on the paint surfaces and stuff like that, but I mean, when you're doing headlights, it's just plastic. The dry technique or the wet technique, I'm not sure if it matters much. I've done them wet, I've done them dry. They all come out just about the same on the headlights. And as you can see, the 3000 grit really makes work of the process towards the finished product, the final product. Here's a close-up. You can see it's getting clearer and clearer with each step. Of course, the 3000 grit is to take it down to the last phase of removing the scratches from the 1000 grit. And then it's time for the workhorse. All of these products, like this pad, that adapter, can be found on Amazon. I also use a site called buffdaddy.com that sells stuff, specifically for buffing. It's this guy who's supposed to be the who's who of the polishing and buffing world. He has his website dedicated specifically towards these processes and these specialized tools. So after the sanding and buffing, the sanding process is done, we'll get into the polishing process. Wool pad, 1000 RPM on the rotary. Some people have been known to use the DA for this process. I prefer the rotary because it puts a little more oomph in it, a little more muscle. The rotary makes really quick work of finalizing that surface to a pristine finish. Don't use a lot of compound. For those of you who are going to try and duplicate this process, you'll sling it all over the place. It'll get all over your shirt, all over your garage, throw some in your eyes if you're not paying attention, and it just makes a mess out of it. A little bit at a time, slow and steady as she goes, and bada bing, bada boom. This is what you get. Now, we could go a step further with a finishing polish of a finer grade. And, if your eyes can pick up flaws and blemishes, by all means, keep going. This here is actually a perfect process to finish with. You can, whatever your level of detail needs to be, by all means, please go farther. Shoot me a comment or a text or anything like that. I like to see it. Of course, this is an Aero product called View. It's their glass cleaner, glass and plastic cleaner. I use it on just about anything I want cleaned. Throw some gloves on, protect your hands, clean the surface up. We're going to start making preparations for the sealer. Now, after you score and restore the surface of the plastic. It's now bare, it's naked, it's raw, it has no UV protection on it. So anything that lands on that plastic, the sun, the weather, the elements, it's going to bake it into that plastic, and you'll be right back at square one. That's where this comes in. G-Tech makes a finish. C Quartz makes the finish. You can use paint sealer like the jet seal that I showed you earlier. Anything that can protect the surface of this plastic from the elements, you have to, and I say again, you have to put it on there. When I first started this process, I would usually just put some wax on it. Then I upgraded to a sealer, and now I've learned how to do these really high-end finishes, the lacquer finishes or the nano coating finishes or whatever, the industry likes to label them. They like to use big fancy words to make you believe you're buying this science project that's untouchable by look, just protect the plastic. That's all it comes down to. You throw that on, you let it cure, you polish it up, you get a shot like this. This is a 50-50 final product. I'm satisfied with it. Whoever owns that Cadillac will be satisfied with it. If you have headlights on your vehicle, you can use this video to hook it up. If not, details will be in the bio and links in the bio. The website, www.momomotorsportsdetailing.com. You can follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Instagram. All that info will be where you can find it. MoMo out.